So anyway, after Goldberg and his son were laid out, I fast-forwarded 5 minutes. We were in the middle of the Cena and Reigns package. So I fast-forwarded 5 more minutes. We were in the middle of the Reigns entrance. So I fast-forwarded 5 more minutes. The introductions for the match were beginning. God almighty. And the ring announcer was wearing a purple tuxedo and looked like a wedding singer and introduced Roman Reigns, and I quote, standing in at a weight of 265 pounds. I'm glad to know he's got a stand-in. All the big stars do. And this match was for another one of the many world championships, John Cena versus Roman Reigns. And now, Cena's done already. We've established that's been announced. He made the TVs, few house shows, and John goes over and above, but he's not going to be able to help him out now. He's gone.
And boy, does that really kind of hammer home some of the things CM Punk said in his promo about, I'm going to be here. I will be here next week. Cena's gone.
But not forgotten. But anyway, at least the people wanted to see this match. You could tell that. And these guys started off taking their time, but unlike Seth and Edge and some of the other matches, there was interest in this, so they could get away with taking their time. And Roman Reigns' facials are incredible. Just incredible. And, I mean, these guys are both over, and this was built with great interviews. If this had been the main event of a standard 2 or 2.5 hour show with good wrestling matches underneath it and not 15 minutes of dreck in between each weight, if they hadn't just drugged this out forever, this match, as performed like this, would have gotten over better. It was different. This, again, it's one of their drama matches. It's 80% drama and 20% wrestling. But since the people were interested in the participants and they're over as stars, and it was the main event of a big show, this would have gotten over a whole lot better and come closer to tearing the house down if it'd been on a 2 or 2.5 hour show. And it would be different, and they could take their time, and and Reigns could do all of his trash talking, and John could sell because he wanted to sell for the guy. But Reigns started the heat. John sold like crazy, and he's going to continue to fight from underneath a little bit more at a time. It was put together well, but they paced themselves for well over a half an hour, which is with the entrances and the introductions and everything. This was more than 45 minutes of the last of the show. And that's why I mentioned, can't somebody come in and tear the house down with a 12-minute fight? They went to the floor, but every match had done that already. Cena sold and groveled and kept trying for quick roll-ups, but Reigns stayed in control, but most of this stuff had been done already. There's almost nothing that hadn't been done already. McAfee, when Pat McAfee has to say the word sports entertainment, it sounds even odder than when the regular announcers do it, because you can tell that he knows that there's no such thing and it's bullshit, and he ought to be saying wrestling. And it comes across in the way that he pronounces the words. It's just glaring to me. But McAfee even called Peacock the cock at one point. When they finally got into the false finishes, then things picked up and the people were with it. They did great false finishes. And they built them. First, it was a regular attitude adjustment. You know, then John gets the STF, Reigns gets the rope break, Reigns stops him again, but this time attitude adjustment on the announce desk. And they were taking their time in between these things and not just jumping up from one to another. But at the same time, they threw so many false finishes in, but then there'd have to be absolutely no movement in between because they were so big. That's why it's 80% drama and 20% match. And Heyman is both a statue at ringside and working it incredibly, because if you just have a camera on his face, his facials are incredible. But if you are just watching his movement, he barely even shuffles his feet. It's like he's cemented as some kind of Grauman's Chinese theater cement thing that he stepped into. He doesn't move, but he reacts facially. I'd have to be, fucking freaking out myself. But anyway, then there was an attitude adjustment off the turnbuckle, and 2 count got a big pop. And then everybody laid dead for a while, and then they did a 1-2 spot in the middle of the ring, and it wasn't Jerry Lawler and Dutch Mantell trading those punches. Let's just say that. I guess they were close enough because a lot of people were far away. And then Reigns hit 2 Superman punches at a spear and pinned him 1, 2, 3. So I know that John Cena's leaving, so he wants to put Roman Reigns over on the way out, but how does it make a heel when he beats the hero flat in the middle, 1, 2, 3, and doesn't cheat? Even if it's cheating just for the sake of being a prick and cheating. But he just beat him. So there you go. 1, 2, 3, and then John disappears, and of course, Heyman is groveling and salabiming, and Reigns is happy, and then suddenly music, and here comes Brock Lesnar, who has stolen Pippi Longstocking's haircut somewhere in the wilds of Saskatoon. That's the longest hair I've ever seen on his head, even if he only did grow 14 of them out and then put a rubber band around it on the top of his head. And he comes into the ring and gets in a stare down, and he and Reigns are face to face. But Heyman got out of the ring and was kneeling on the apron while his former guy and his present guy were face to face. He never got back in the ring. And then when Reigns left, Heyman left with him. He's the key. He needed to be in there looking at both of them with staring down with evil intent in their eyes toward each other, with the back and forth, oh shit look, like what's going to happen? I didn't know this. The key to Reigns and Lesnar is Heyman, his loyalty, his training, his business advice, and what manner of both or all three that he's given to each of these guys. And is he going to be able to prevent a showdown, or does he want a showdown? Or if he wants a showdown, who does he really want to win? But he just kind of fucking powdered out of that and let the 2 guys face each other off. Nobody said anything. And then this was a nice return for a regular show. But after we've just seen the return of the ages, this did not shake the earth. I don't know. Am I just being hard on it?
No, I mean, the return couldn't match the CM Punk return. I thought the surprise was better than the Becky Lynch surprise. I thought the people reacted to it much bigger than the Becky Lynch surprise. And I think naturally there's a lot of intrigue about Brock as a babyface versus Roman as a heel with Heyman, you would assume. And then we get to see Brock go through the Usos for several weeks, I would imagine. The Cena match was good. I mean, other than the usual sloppy STF, the loose STF, which sucks, makes no sense. If the STF is loose, what exactly are you doing? You have the foot, you have the ankle, and nothing else. But anyway, I thought it was a good match. Roman Reigns, to me right now, is on another level from almost every single person in the business. He is so good at being Roman Reigns right now.
Yeah.
Heyman is perfect. The groveling on the apron and getting on his knees, that's kind of what he does. And he's an older guy. He can't work ringside like he used to. He physically probably
he's not as old as I am, and I'm not taking bumps, but I could fucking express some shock and break a fucking bead of sweat. But no, he should have been in the background of those 2 attempting to talk to them so that they didn't get their panties in a wad with each other, because that's the pivotal point. He's the connection between them. So that should have been more obvious there. But anyway, and I do agree Reigns is great. And the thing with Brock, as far as return versus Punk, the the whole vibe is different. They don't like Brock personally, the fans. They do not like Brock Lesnar personally. They like CM Punk personally. They view him as more of a person like them that they would like, whereas they know Brock just does this for the money. He doesn't give a fuck for anybody, and that's why he's such an effective heel. And that's why, to be honest, if they want him to be a babyface, then they need to work the deal with Heyman being in the middle of them, because Heyman can bring heat to whoever he's aligned with, but also he needs to screw Lesnar around some kind of way, because people just don't, they think Brock's a beast. They believe in him. That's why he's such a huge gate attraction, because he's one of the very few guys in the business that people believe anymore, because for all the reasons we've mentioned, he could very well go into business for himself because he don't give a fuck for anybody, and he's got fuck you money, and he has been a UFC champion, and he is a fucking NCAA champion, and he's a big beast, but they don't like him personally. They know he doesn't like wrestling, so he doesn't like them. And so he's not going to be an automatic, oh my God, babyface, like we're going to carry him out of the ring on our shoulders for vanquishing the dragon. And that's the difference between Punk's an underdog that left on his own terms and now has come back on his own terms. Brock Lesnar, whether he's presented as a babyface or a heel, is a mercenary that they know doesn't give a shit about them or anybody else. So that is not the outpouring of love that we saw on last Friday's Dynamite is not going to
Rampage
is not going to be repeated for Brock, but it's a momentous return. I almost think they would have been better off bringing Brock back as a heel in some other program with some other person.
So someone could talk for him.
Well, but no, here's the thing. Can you, Matt, what would we, I don't know if they can afford him, but the way that I would have done it is to have Brock come back and be going for Reigns has got the Universal title. Brock come back and go for the world title or whatever they call one of their other ones. And Heyman's involved with both. But then each guy wants to be the man. We need to unify these things. I was thinking the same thing. And Heyman's like, I don't think we should do that. And then you have the unification match between Brock Lesnar and Roman Reigns. And who the fuck is Heyman going to choose? And then Heyman fucks the guy he doesn't choose. And then you've unified the championships. And you've switched Brock babyface, because that's Brock that he didn't choose, with a personal reason to get even with these fucking pricks. And then you might have a little bit more interest. I don't know. I'm thinking of wrestling rather than Hollywood comedy.
Well, with thoughts like that, maybe you should be a booker. And with thoughts like that, I'm sure there are many people on the writing team frustrated that they couldn't come up with something as simply and as easily as you just did in seconds, sitting in a room all day writing for Vince McMahon. Perhaps they think, I'm wasting my life away. I need to get out of here.
This is the most tortured, rambling, incoherent, and malingering transition / segue I've ever heard. Continue it now if you've figured out a way to get from place A to place B.
You know what? I have figured out a way, because I'm so offended by the way you just defamed me that I'm going to sue.
Well, and I know who you ought to call, you no good sack of gum-bumping snake feces.
Call Stephen P. News. If you need to sue. An outlaw mud show or two. Still to the rest.
And yes, ladies and gentlemen, if you are indeed incensed as being a regular listener of a podcast and one of the hosts is unable to formulate a cogent segue into a sponsor that we've had for years, well, then you need to call the law offices of Stephen P. New at newlawoffice.com, 888-692-8084. The man is a literal king of torts. the Baron of the Barristers, the legal beagle for all, who has triumphed many times over this heinous and skewed justice system that we have here in the United States of America to bring closure and compensation to people who have been wounded, damaged, harmed, or otherwise tortured by the malevolent, greedy, large corporations, whether it's the cancer-causing agents that are in a variety of products from a variety of companies, whether it's the people that were assaulted at the Veterans Administration Hospital, whether it's the poor old lady who State Farm tried to hornswoggle out of $50,000. And I mean, whether it's large or it's small, Stephen P. New does it all. He and his fine associates can bring you to the surface of the deep, shark-infested legal waters that you have been swimming and drowning in and get you the compensation you deserve for however you have been wronged by someone with more money and less morals. Stephen P. New at newlawoffice.com, 888-692-8084. And he's one of the premier sponsors of All-Star Wrestling, and they still hold the record for the attendance at the Raleigh County Convention Center at the Bash and Beckley a few weeks ago that beat all of my Smoky Mountain Wrestling events. I hate you, Stephen.
Plus, you hate Beckley.
Plus, I hate Beckley.